Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Ms. Hill for an excellent presentation and outline this afternoon to help us understand this issue a bit more after several months of this investigation. I want to compliment your top-notch staff for their sacrifices and their hours of service to the country. And Mr. Chairman, you and Mr. Goss, on my side, I want to compliment both of you for bringing together in a bipartisan way this committee to launch an unprecedented bicameral investigation into the worst terrorist attack in our nation's history. And it is with pride and confidence that I know that we will produce a good product on this committee. In listening to the very moving testimony from Kristen and Steve this morning, I'm even more convinced. I'm even more compelled to work hard. I'm even more persuaded that an independent blue ribbon commission is the right way to go. It's the right way to go because if this committee, with its jurisdiction and its might and insight and experience and dedication to intelligence, does its job, and by the very nature of an investigative inquiry staff doing their job over an 8-month period, unearthing facts, uncovering data, asking tough questions, they will produce even more questions for us to try to answer over the next year. So I think there is a compelling case by the very effectiveness of this committee to do its job near perfectly and assume its jurisdiction as a body of Congress to take on this tough task. We make the case in a very convincing way for follow-up and a thread attached to this for an independent blue ribbon commission to continue to look at these very, very tough questions as to how to reorganize an intelligence community that made mistakes, that committed failures, that saw warnings, and reorganize it in a time when we are threatened by a brand new source that wants to kill Americans in massive numbers very quickly, and that can do it in this kind of world environment. I think the case is made compellingly for an independent blue ribbon commission. And I think that complements us. And I think it adds into the history of this committee, the Intelligence Committee, which has had independent commissions as Aspen Brown, Hart-Rudman, the NRO, Rumsfeld on ICBMs, and even in the Senate bill, a brand new commission to study something else. Ms. Hill, I do have a question or two that I wanted to ask about the classification of data. On page 16, there is a reference to information provided to senior U.S. government officials in September of 1998, and on page 28, mentioning senior government officials in July of 2001. Now, without getting into breaking our classification, and we don't want to do that, one would be a Democratic administration, one would be a Republican administration. Is there the possibility that those references could be to a White House?
Well, you know, obviously, given the classification of...
I'm just asking in the realm of possibilities.
Well, I guess, are you asking the term senior government officials couldn't... I mean, I guess the term senior government officials would be anyone at a senior level in the entire U.S. government, so... But I cannot... So, as I understand the rules on this, we are not allowed...
But your case, Ms. Hill, is that it's important for the American people to know when we get intelligence that it's not only the intelligence agencies that act upon it, it's the administration as to what they do with it, with the military, with other branches of
Right.
government, the FAA,
Right.
the
Well,
border control, and so forth and so on.
That's absolutely right, because, I mean, to make intelligence really the way it should be and important and valuable, it has to be not only collected, analyzed, but it has to be disseminated to the people who can use it in a timely manner. That's the whole point of having intelligence, so.
Part of our bipartisan efforts would be to get in a bipartisan way this access to declassifying that kind of reference. Is that your argument?
Well, I mean, our argument on this issue about the White House is that if you've declassified the information itself, it seems to us we don't see the national security interest in declassifying where it goes from there. If you've declassified it goes to some people, you should be able to declassify it goes to everybody or whoever it went to explain that.
I would hope our committee would have a long, very serious discussion about what to do on this declassification issue. Finally, Ms. Hill, if I could ask one final question. You mentioned the CTC and the number of analysts that they had, and I think mentioned a number of 3 to 5.
Right.
Yet as we've looked at the CTC budget over the 1990s in a question of resources, without mentioning a specific number which is classified, the trend, which we can talk about, right, is a quadrupling in the CTC budget. So why isn't more money put into analysts in that budget when it's quadrupling?
I think it's a priority question. I mean, it's, you know, as the resource, and what we found and what we're saying is that the resources, they were getting more resources for counterterrorism prior to September 11th, and after the DCI declared war on bin Laden, it was going up. But there was no massive shift. It was a gradual thing. And in terms of an analysis, there was not a significant amount of resources dedicated to it. So I assume it is like every other resource allocation, it's depending on where your priorities are. And obviously, there was not a big priority on the analysis.